So I thought this would be a good scene to paint because we get 1 point perspective here. So for all you guys with perspective problems, you know, I mean, we can talk about that. There's also people we can put in, there's cars we can put in, there's trees, buildings, and everything. And the reason I was drawn to this scene, if you guys squint down and look down the sidewalk, I mean, it's mostly dark pretty much, but there's that pop of light, you know, and a little pop of light on the building, the pop of light on the sidewalk, a little pop of light on the cars. I look for contrast, you know. And the more contrast I have, I feel, for me, the better the painting, it's got a chance of succeeding, you know. So I always say when I do demos, I'm not going to like pull off any kind of, you know, my best painting here. It's more of like kind of relay my thoughts and what I'm thinking about when I'm painting. Also, I had to figure out, is the painting going to be more, you know, I don't want to put my focal point, which is, there really isn't a focal point here necessarily. It's just 1 point perspective going back into the distance. So I'm going to have it more down at the bottom of the panel of the painting, because I don't want to put it in the center. I don't want it to be too evenly balanced, you know. And I want to be careful. I was a little worried about having it weighted over on this side, not enough going on over here. So somehow I'm going to have to address that. But I think I'll be able to address it with the car, the line of the far cars coming down here, a car there. That's kind of like what I was doing here. So when I come in, I'm not coming in by drawing trees or drawing cars. I'm just kind of looking for dark and light patterns. And at this point, I'm just setting up what I think what the painting will look like in one color, a color that'll kind of work into my painting. I'm not starting out with like blue or red. I see mostly green out there, so I'm going to use green. You know, just any, you know, it's just a mixture of a bunch of paints and some sort of green. You know, I see those people walking down there. Maybe I'll just put them in just to give, like, you know, a little like indication how big a person would be, you know. And then I'm looking down. It's mostly dark right back there. So again, that's going to be all trees up there. You know, that might be a tree there. That might be a car right over here. In my mind's eye, I see it. I'm seeing the painting in my mind's eye. I'm also getting the perspective. Now, I'm looking straight down here. The first thing I want to do when I come out and paint, I want to find out where my horizon line is. My horizon line, as you all know, is your eye level. It's not the line where the earth meets the water. It's your eye level, no matter what. It's my eye level. So Todd, you're above my horizon line, right? Kuhn, you're below my horizon line. So all angles would go up. From Todd, all angles would come down. So my horizon line is like right about there. So you always want to establish your horizon line, and you always want to establish your vanishing point. I don't always put it like this because I have done it long enough, but so I kind of know where that goes. So all angles, the roof lines on these buildings, they're all going to come down to that horizon line, like so. And this street right over here, that far street, which is way the heck over there, is going to go to the horizon line like this. It's almost flat. So it's very important. A good tip I can give you guys is when you're trying to figure out perspective, you don't need to know how to do perspective like an architect does. You just need to know how to use your brush. So, for instance, when I'm looking straight on, all the lines are straight across. So I take my brush, I grab my arm like this, I hold my brush at the end, and I can see that, you know, those are the lines on a 1 point perspective straight across. When I want to do an angle of a building, I hold my brush on the, like, let's say I want to do the top of that building. You guys all turn around that top of that building, all right? If I want to bring that down to my horizon line, now you can turn around and look at me. My brush, I lay it right on top of that brush. That's the angle. And you can also figure out what it is on a clock. So it's like a 130 angle. So that angle goes down to my horizon line, okay? As the windows come down, the angle changes, right? So you want to take that angle and you want to transfer it to your canvas. The important thing is you don't want to take when I'm figuring out an angle, don't put your brush into the angle, lay it on the picture plane. Pretend there's a piece of glass right in front of you. And you're going, if I gave you a piece of glass and then you were to draw it with magic marker, all the lines, you would have perfect perspective. So pretend there's a piece of glass there, put your brush against the glass, put your brush on the glass, not into the glass, figure out that angle, and come back to the angle and put it on your canvas. So I can see that the angle on this two flat right here, this red one, the second one down, that's my angle. Okay, it's not going to be in the picture, but that comes right down to my horizon line. What I've seen a lot of people do is they want the streets to go uphill. I mean, it looks like they're going uphill. So you want to figure out what angle that is. So most people, not most people, but a lot of people would. Okay, so the street is going like this. See, that's the street. That's the sidewalk. That's the sidewalk there. Use a paper towel too is a really good tool to kind of like just get all this stuff in, kind of wiggle it. You want to keep your paint thin at this point, by the way. I don't have a lot of paint on here. This is all going to be green. There might be some sky holes in there later, right? And then that's going to be now if you notice that the angle, so straight ahead, my angle's straight up. I even got this too much of an angle. It's more like I caught myself. Okay, that angle on that street is like straight up, like that. So I'm always measuring my angles. The angle on the far part of the sidewalk is more of an angle. Because I'm looking straight down this line right here, just like this. That's proper perspective. Now, I got a guy in there. Before that guy goes, maybe I'm not going to keep him in there, but if I wanted to, I could put him in there and just give an indication where he is. But I'm not going to keep him in there. So, the angle on the far side of the sidewalk is more of like around a 140 or something like that. So that angle comes out a little bit more like that. This is the drawing part of painting. It's such an important thing. All the color in the world, you know, all the crazy brush strokes you want to do, it all starts with basic drawing. I mean, I'm not drawing lines, but I'm drawing shapes. I work in masses. Okay, so I'm still setting it up here. And then somewhere along here, I'm going to have some verticals, some buildings that are going to come like this. There's going to be some buildings over here. I haven't introduced any color at all yet. And look at, this is the grass, see? What's the angle of this area? See? The grass in front of the houses. So what is the angle of that going to the perspective of the far? So I take my brush, right? I lay it right on that line, back to the horizon line. It's almost flat. And then the buildings would be someplace like that. Also, I'm going to get like a little bit of different color here. I'm just going to indicate a car here. So this is the sidewalk. This is I didn't think about this, but I'm going to have that circle right there. And I'm going to have this go back, right back there. Again, I'm going to put my brush on that line to see what that angle is. It goes back to, this is the vanishing point. So that line has to go to there. That's the circle. That means that car is right over here. I'm just going to make an indication of a car, actually a bunch of cars. I know those are cars. You might not know they're cars, but I know they're cars, and I'll define them later. I don't have to draw cars right now. I'm not locked into anything at this point. I'm just exploring, setting up the composition, see what works, you know, see where maybe just a couple indications where the trees are going to go, not too much, you know, going back in perspective. They go back there, gets darker back there. This is a little more green. dark. I don't want to go so dark right now. Again, I'm just trying to set up my drawing. And this goes right here. Now, back here, that light building is about right here. That's the light building. So this is a very abstract way of starting. It's the way that I paint. It's not the only way to paint. I mean, everybody paints differently, you know. I mean, a lot of people will start off with a very tight drawing. This is the way I like to start off. I like to start off real loose and kind of like see the painting. It's all going to be cars. And then there's going to be cars way over here. And they're going to go, those are going to be cars, those are going to be cars.
Errol, can you expand a little bit more on seeing the painting?
Yeah, well, I don't know about you guys, and I remember Scott, when I took lessons from Scott, he says, he was painting portraits. He says, I don't know about you guys, but I get a few strokes down there and I see it automatically, you know. I see, because I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm seeing, and even though you might not see it as the viewer, you will see it as an artist, you know, what your scene is. I guess that's the only way I can really say it, you know. It's okay, so now, all right, so I got enough down there to kind of like where now what I can do is establish I'm just going to get a little bit of more. I'm going to squint down, get more darks in there. I'm going to work on my darks. The darks is what holds the painting together. If you don't have darks, good darks, and good value structure, guys. Yeah, value structure is the most important. I've seen a lot of students over the years, and Steve, you teach a lot. I'm sure you can confirm this, that they get locked into these mid-tone values. You know, they don't have that good, you know, at least three values. You want your light, you want your darks, and you want your mid-tones. When you come out and you paint plein air, as a general rule, if you read John Carlson's book, if you don't have John Carlson's book, you should definitely buy it. It's a little difficult to read, but kind of old school. But he's got words of wisdom in there. And one of the things I took away from there is when you look at a landscape and you're looking, you look anywhere here in this scene, the sky is usually the lightest. That's your lightest value. Your ground plane will be the next darkest, and your verticals will be the darkest. If you're in the west painting mountains, the mountains are in another phase there. We only have to worry in the Midwest about 3 here, right? So, anyways, so I'm trying to establish a light and dark pattern here. Any questions? I don't know if I have answers. I'm still drawing. I'm always drawing. I'm always checking by drawing, you know, where things go, what's dark, what's light. I want that to go back. This whole painting is based about this thing going back. Looks like a hot mess here. This goes more like this. Okay. not trying to get exact color by any means. Just trying to I know this is cool, so I'm staying with. This is basically all cool except for that hot light, the hot sunlight is coming out. I want to just give myself a at this point.
Your tripod.
Okay.
Not tripoding.
My easel.
How can you miss your culture?
Yeah. Just 1 second. Just want to get I'll get to that in a minute, Lori. I just want to try to. I'll tell you guys in a minute what I'm thinking. Got to vary your strokes, guys. Have your strokes go up, have them go down, have them go all around the place. In oil painting, anyways, we work from dark to light. So you don't want to get too light too fast. You want to preserve your darks, and you want to come with your lights on top of your darks. I'm not drawing exact cars. I'm not trying to draw a Ford. I know that those are cars. Eventually, I'll cut into them and I'll sculpt them. I'm trying to set up a little bit of a dark and light pattern here. Good way to mix greens is put a little dab of red in your greens. Try to always add some kind of red in your greens. If I squint down, that tree cover is really dark. What's going to make your painting look lighter in this situation is when you start putting the darks in. I'm not trying to define I'm looking at this as mass. I paint in mass. That's just, I get my mass right because all the color and all the fancy brushwork and everything is not going to mean a thing if you don't have that big abstract shape in it. I just look at this tree, I just see this big clunk of green. That's it. And that's where the strength of the painting comes in, are your strong masses. Those would be the cars. Vary your strokes. See, this is starting to read a little bit better. I'm going to just for always a good idea to put a few headlights in the car, just to give people an idea, or give myself an idea of where they are. You know, nothing is written in stone here. I'll change things around, I'll scrape things out. Okay. Now, I want to indicate, when I squint down, I want to get that building, and I want to get also, there's like, I want to get this light that's on the ground, this bush right back here. Figure out where this tree goes, sort of right there. Root your trees. I'll work on the color later. I'm just doing a simple blocking here. Check my drawing always, check my lines, make sure my perspective's right. And one of the most important things is always, something has to be right. Something has to be correct as far as the value and color is concerned too. Okay, I want it.
Here you go.
Oh, okay, thanks, good. Whoa. Any questions? Okay.
Looking good.
Oh, thanks. You know, this is one of these paintings. I don't know if you guys, how many demos, I mean, I've gone to, like you probably have, like 1,000,000 demos. I want to just get that, just some kind of indication of that building. And I want to get that red in there too. Thank you, Lori, for the transparent red.
So there are what colors do you have?
Okay, I'm going to get to that. So, basically I have a warm and cool, I have a cad yellow, like a medium, and then I have a cad yellow light, cad yellow lemon, a cool lemon, a warm lemon, yellow ochre, orange, which I don't have much on there. It's a full palette. A cool red, a alizarin crimson, a warmer red. I use Rembrandt permanent medium. Transparent red oxide is a big go-to for me. It's a transparent color. Cerulean blue for a cool blue, ultramarine blue for a warm blue, and viridian in white. The other thing is, I notice a lot of painters, well, students over the years, and palette organization is so important. Make sure that I'm a little bit off here. I'm mixing lately. I've been mixing my lighter colors over here and my darker colors here. However, let's say you're just using one extension. Try to keep your lights and your darks separate. Keep all your light colors on one side, all your dark mixtures on the other side. Very important. Otherwise, if you put them all darks and lights all over your palette, your painting's going to look dull and gray. That's what happens. So you want to have that. You want to have that. See a person walking down the street while they're down there. You can kind of put an indication, just a line in. And what that gives you is a height. You see, she's not way above the cars, but she's a little bit above the car tops. So that's right. And she was back a little further back there. She was walking a little doggy or something like that.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So now, I haven't stuck out. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to like start going back a little bit in distance in these back areas back here, which are a little bluer. Your greens are pick your greens, and don't forget to put a little red in your greens. Cools and warms. Let's see, that car goes there. I'm going to try to get this tree right here, and then I want this. I got to make a decision. Do I want to put the sky up there or not? You know, and I don't think that's going to add anything to the painting. So you got to decide when you're painting what to edit in, what to edit out. And to me, putting the sky up there, I want the viewer to look down here. Everything is taking the viewer here. If I put that big hunk of light up there, I feel it's going to take away from there. Take away from my focal point, because my focal point is definitely right here. So I'm always thinking about that. So I am not going to put that sky in up there, you know. So I'm just going to make it just like trees, just dark, and no one's going to look up there. No one's going to really care. They're going to be looking down the street. I might just put a little bit there, a little bit later. And then for the buildings, I mean, at this point, I'm not defining these buildings. I'll just put a little red in there, just as an indication to remind me if I want to develop those buildings a little bit more. And then maybe I'll put a little red back here, just to indicate that there's a building there, a building there, a building there, that goes there. I'm not defining, I'm not doing architecture at this point. I'm just kind of like developing the whole painting. And then I'll tighten up what needs to be tightened up, okay? So it's a cool and warm pattern, it's a light and dark pattern. This is like one of the most fun parts of the painting, in my opinion. Again, I want to make sure to stay dark. Okay, so another thing I like to do is I like to do a lot of destruction, and by that I mean I like to keep, if you like to paint, if you start off tight, it's going to be very hard to loosen the painting up. If you start off loose, you can always tighten up, but it's very hard to go the other way, you know? So I try to like destroy edges a lot, and I learned this from Scott years ago, Powers, and he used to come by my paintings when I was painting figures, and it just amazed me because I would be doing this figure and all right, it wasn't great. He'd come over, sit on my bench and say, pull out a paper towel, rip it apart, go, holy crap, that looks much better. So sometimes I like to take a paper towel and I just like to like fan it, kind of like I'm not really touching it hard. I'm just kind of like breaking edges, you know, and it kind of like, okay, so now it kind of like broke down all the edges. And then if I know I had Coke in my hand.
That happens to me all the time.
I love palette knife work, and you can explain. I heard it said that you can, with one stroke of a palette knife, you can make marks that you'll never get with a brush, and a stroke of a palette knife can sometimes explain 20 brush strokes. So the way I paint, now again, we all paint differently, you know. Some people are much more photorealistic, and some people are more abstract than me, and then there's in the middle. It's all good, whatever your thing is. I paint for my personality, which is more, you know, more energetic, you know. It's just the way I am. But the palette knife works well for me over the years, you know. And if you haven't used a palette knife, pull it out and play with it. Maybe do a whole painting with a palette knife, and you can do all kinds of strokes with it, you know, and all kinds of cross and dot, and grab it with the edge or the. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to compare. So I have that bright sunlight here, which is, you know, we're working with paint. We're not working with light. I mean, we are working with light, but it's not. We'll never be able to get as bright as that is concerned. So it doesn't really matter if we don't make it that bright, because if we make it that bright, we might have a tendency to go to white. And we don't want to use white because white cools down paint. So what I have learned and read is sometimes we can get make a painting look brighter by painting in darker colors and increasing the intensity of it too, you know. So, you know, and of course the juxtaposition with the cools.
So overall, you say this temperature of this particular machine is cool.
Definitely cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's shade. On a sunny day, your shadows are going to be cool. Now, some people will make their shadows really purple, you know, which is okay, but I like to try to somehow capture a little bit of the local color of it, if I can. And it sometimes takes a while to find that local color. You know, you don't always find that color right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of searching to find that color. Again, okay, so here's a good example. If you look down there, the sidewalk, this bright spot, which I think I can get a little brighter, that's the brightest thing in the painting, other than the highlights on the car. Now, I want to get that building in there, that yellow building. The yellow building, this is what I mean by comparing. Okay, what's darker, the yellow building or the highlights?
Yellow building.
Yellow building, right. Highlights brighter, yellow building is darker. Mm-hmm. Some people might have a tendency to put that yellow building in lighter, as light as the street, and which wouldn't be correct. So and again, I'm not like defining a building. I'm just putting a shape in there. At some point, I will define the building. Okay, back to the cars. You know, at some point I would start working up these cars and start defining them more. I want to get that, I like the red on that car. I think it'll be nice against the green. Time. The car might be a little high. And these cars across the street are higher than these cars. Always check your cars. Here's another really good tip too, guys. I see a lot of people do over the years, is you gotta be aware of when you're painting cities, especially, and you're putting people and cars in your paintings, that the cars, look at a person walking down the street and see where their height is related to the car. You know, like here's someone coming way down the street. Okay, he's at my eye level. And then if I draw a line straight across on the picture plane, not into the picture plane, the top of his head comes straight across the top of the cars. Here comes two more people. So their head is even with these cars. So I know that my proportions are correct. And this here, see how this goes over here? It's going to the wrong vanishing point. I got to bring this line of cars over to this vanishing point. This is what, you're always checking your drawing. So that those cars should be coming more like this. That's why it's so important not to get too finished in the beginning until you get your painting right. If for you guys are just getting started with painting plein air, it's more important, I would say don't even do color, just do raw umber and white. Get 3 values, you know, and don't worry about the color. And just get your drawing right, you know. Okay. I'm gonna put again some headlights in here. I don't care what color they are, I just want to see where things are. Could be a car there, a car there, a car there, a car there, a car there. Something like that. Okay, now, even though I start to see the sun coming out over there in the street, I'm not going to put it there. Because this painting is about, you know, you want everything to be unequal. Word I'm looking for here. The variety is what makes a successful painting, or one of the things that makes a successful painting. So you never want things split in the middle. You don't want even even shapes, even horizon lines, You don't want to split your board and canvas in half. However, another thing you want to do is you don't want your lights and darks to be even too. So if you do if you could think of 75-25, you don't want your painting 50% light, 50% dark. I mean, you might see it that way, but it won't be as interesting a painting. You know, I went to this pastel show. If you guys haven't been there, it opened last night. It's at the Zolby Art Center. I saw Jill there and Pat, and it was a great show. And I got to tell you something. The painting that wowed me the most was Nancy King Murch's painting. And the reason for me that it wowed me the most was the design. It wasn't what she painted. She painted a bunch of silos, but she had that strong design of light and dark. And light and dark and a strong design is going to make a strong painting, because you want it to capture you, you know, across the room, you know. So I might, you know, I'm not stepping back from this like I should be. Normally I'd be stepping back a little bit. I even want to get, and vary your greens. Keep your greens varied. Look for the cool greens, blue greens. Make sure you take care of the edges of your painting. Bad edges can screw up a painting. I mean, you don't want to leave areas, too many areas unpainted. So this is pretty much how I start all my paintings. Whether I'm painting a very complicated street scene, or bridges, or buildings. I never start with a line drawing. I always start with masses and shapes. But I am drawing. I mean, I'm doing a lot of drawing. Okay, well, I'll kind of leave it there. Any questions, guys? See, also you can isolate with your fingers like this, isolate, and you can really isolate and see. Like, I would really like to pump up that, you know, pump up these lights a little bit more. I mean, a lot more, actually. Let me see, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm using white, I shouldn't be using so much white. lay it on with a palette knife. You can get stronger. Then maybe a little light. Then people. Sometimes I'll just drag a knife straight through, you know, and destroy it. You know, I might like that and leave it because I like it. You know, I mean, it's all about making marks. You know, and I might take a knife and, you know, drag it through there, and I might like that, you know, because it doesn't look like wallpaper. You know, there's some energy involved. Yeah. You know, I try to get some energy in my painting. Now, for sure, I've got to do something with these trees. And I've got to pop them. I might put, you know, just for the heck of it, let's see what a few.
Are your demos for sale, Errol?
Everything's always for sale, Steve. What kind of question is that? I'm sure a lot of you guys have sold paintings on the street, and you know it's always an honor when someone comes over and wants to buy a painting. But I'll give you guys a tip that I heard. I didn't know this. But, you know, you're painting a painting and somebody comes along. You know, you're just a little bit into it, or maybe 40% through or something. It's looking fairly good. Some guy comes over, wow, I really like that painting, it's great. So I heard this one guy, this big time painter, I forgot his name, he's a huge, big time plein air painter. He says, I always give him a compliment right off the bat. He says, wow, I gotta really compliment you. You got a great eye. You can see where this painting is going. Oh my God. So I tried it once on somebody. They had the biggest smile on their face. You know, because everybody likes to feel good that, you know, that we're special, you know. And so, yeah, so he didn't buy it, but, but he had a nice smile on his face. You know, then at this point, maybe I want to do that a little bit, you know, just a little bit, you know. And, you know, I would work on the cars more, I'd work on the street, you know, I'd pop that a little bit more to people. Anyways, I'll call it a day, huh? You guys, thanks, guys. You're welcome.